Health at an impasse, the case for getting past collusion. Collusion might reasonably be defined as meeting the enemy and discovering it is both them and us. In the case of health, personal well-being and public health alike, exactly this sort of thing is going on. It is way past time to take away past these toxic impasses. Let's start with public health and then get more personal. The leading public health problems of our time are obesity and related chronic diseases. This is well studied and thoroughly established. As bad as the current situation is, with chronic diseases imposing an enormous burden in both human and economic terms, things are projected to get far worse. Chronic diseases are proliferating around the globe, affecting ever more people here in the U.S. and taking hold at every younger ages. We are losing an enormous number of years from our lives and an all but incalculable amount of life from our years. What makes this truly tragic is that it is almost entirely preventable. We have known exactly what it takes to reduce the aggregate burden of chronic disease by fully 80% for literal decades. The relevant research is noteworthy for its power, clarity, consistency, and lack of controversy. Instead of staring down the barrel of a figurative gun at a future in which 1 in 3 of us is diabetic, we could readily be looking at a future in which 90% of all diabetes is eliminated outright. There are few folks in the road of life as flagrant as that. But since we have known for decades that better use of our feet, physical activity, forks, dietary pattern, and fingers not holding cigarettes could transform public health, and have done relatively little with the information. At least, with regard to diet and physical activity, we are squandering an incredible opportunity. We squander it by eating a diet in which nearly 50% of calories come from certifiable junk, and in which we talk about the benefits of exercise and then go on dispensing every former use of our muscles with schedules that preclude them, and new technologies that do them for us. We could blame it all on the food companies that make the junk food, and the technology companies that keep inventing more ways for us to be sedentary. But as noted, the enemy is both them and us. What's the collusion? We let their inventions become the mothers of our previously unrecognized necessities. Nobody needed soft drinks before they were invented. Thirsty people did just fine with water, but we sure seem to need them now. Downing sugar measured in tonnage, an astronomical number of calories and spending fortunes for the privilege of propagating our collective risk for obesity and diabetes. Rags once seemed to suffice, but now a wayward leaf clearly demands the revving engine of a power blower. To say nothing of the need to play soccer on a screen, using only our thumbs, while an actual soccer ball sits unused in the yard. You get the idea. Nobody is making us staying on the couch or eating junk food. They are just selling stuff we keep buying. Yes, it is true that junk food is willfully engineered to be addictive, but so are illicit drugs. And most of us choose not to use them in the first place. We have no fundamental obligation to call toaster pastries, breakfast, French fries a snack, or to keep running on Dunkin'. We do have choices. When we complain that food companies should make better food, and they counter that they make and sell what we buy and eat. It's a bit of judo and a bit of theater on their part, but it is also one part true. If we only bought better food, that would stop making junk pretty quick. If we want to transform our food supply into one that makes living food, that loves us back the norm, we can't just keep wagging a finger at big, bad food, even as we stock up on their concoctions. We need to share a task for change by showing we actually prefer to buy products that are good for us. A process of taste, but we have is readily available to us. Or to say just a cascade in motion. As for personal health, the story is much the same. An 80% reduction in the collective burden of chronic disease means that you and I have the means available to slash our personal risk of ALL, major chronic disease, heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, dementia, by that same 80%. It means that if knowledge were power, if we used what we have long now, there are fully 8 chances in 10 that our loved ones who have been diagnosed with any of the above would not be. This is not about some remote, anonymous public. This is up close and very personal. It's all about us and the people we love. But here, too, we tend to squander the opportunity, while knowing just what it takes to lose weight and fight health, to add years to life and life to years. We turn again and again to lose weight fat diets and variations on the theme of false promises and magical thinking. Here, we could blame the fat diet authors, hucksters, and other malefactors of the military-industrial establishment. But again, the enemy is both them and us. What's the collusion? We could, anytime we like, concede that quick fix diets cannot be a solution to the lifelong challenge of weight control. We could acknowledge that going on diets that leave our children behind in an age of epidemic childhood obesity is not only fraught with the likelihood of failure, but is fundamentally irresponsible. Apparently, we are saying to our children, grow up and get fat, then you, too, can try to sort it out for yourselves. As long as we keep buying lotions, potions, and fat diets, the individuals and industries involved will all too happily keep selling them. What, then, is the way past the impasse? Pretty straightforward, actually. First, apply common sense more commonly. Reasonable, responsible people apply common sense to everything that matters. Money and mortgage, education and careers, pet care and vacation planning, and yet we turn it off and go into some kind of trance of gullibility when promises about weight loss and health promotion come along. We could stop and apply common sense more commonly to health, which certainly belongs to the short list of priorities we all respect and take seriously. Second, get real. We know that get-rich-quick schemes tend to be the stuff of sitcoms, not serious people. Serious people know that worthwhile things generally take time and some extra effort. We need to approach losing weight and finding health in the real world, not Fantasyland. Third, get empowered to be responsible. The Spider-Man movies famously served up the adage, with great power comes great responsibility. That implies a corollary we ought to often ignore. Before we can take responsibility, we must be empowered. There is an empowering set of skills for getting to health in spite of it all that successful experts apply to themselves. Such skills can be acquired and applied by anyone willing to make the effort. Only those who were empowered with the skills of literacy can take responsibility for all the reading and writing we need to do throughout our lives. There can be no such responsibility in the absence of ability. There is health literacy too. There is a skill set for getting to health. We can go and get it. Fourth, see the forest through the trees. We do not have epidemic obesity and chronic disease because of any one food, nutrient, ingredient, chemical, or device. We live in a perfect storm of obesogenic factors. Similarly, no active ingredient or silver bullet will fix everything. We are unlikely to get out of the woods until we see the relevant forest through the trees. Fifth, take one step. The journey of 1,000 miles famously begins with one step. The journey to health, in most cases, is substantially shorter than that, but also begins with one step. Learning and apply a skill to sleep better or manage stress, and you may find you have the energy to be more active. Be more active by applying skills to fitness in, and you may find you sleep better or feel less stressed. Improve your stress, sleep, and activity level, and you may suddenly find yourself prepared to start improving your diet. Do that, and you may find you feel better and want to get a bit more exercise. Rather than giving up food you love, you could learn how to trade up food you love to better choices in the same category. Better chips, for instance, so that you keep loving the food, but the food starts loving you back. In the process, you could rehabilitate your taste buds, so one choice at a time, you actually come to prefer foods that are better for you. We readily get caught up in a pattern where each thing that conspires against our health, lack of sleep, excess stress, weight gain, poor eating, lack of exercise, compounds the next, until the degenerating spiral takes our quality of life right down the drain. This process can be reverse engineered one step at a time. So we are climbing a spiral staircase up to the health and the vitality we want and deserves. That's it. We could, I suppose, just go with the status quo. We could all undergo more operations and take more drugs, like the statins we heard this week millions more of us need. We could let our kids get fatter and sicker at younger ages than we, and let them undergo over even more surgery and take more drugs too. We could do that at huge cost in both dollar and human terms. But why would we? Lifestyle is more powerful medicine than anything ever developed by a pharmaceutical company, accessible to us all, stunningly free of side effects, safe enough for children and octogenarians alike. Under our control, suitable for everyone every day, and requires no prescription. It is also the means to a truly luminous prize, a better life. That's what health is for. It makes living better. We could add years to life and life to years, not only for ourselves, but for those we love as well. We could give this gift to our children and grandchildren. It may seem as if what stops our progress to health is flexible. Just the opposite is true. If we initiate the right process, take one step on the way past the impasses, then what would fix health could very well be unstoppable. Shall we get started? Midwest tornadoes, winds slam towns and trucks. 6 killed in Illinois. Washington, Illinois, CNN. Michelle Crumring was out of town when a tornado tore through her neighborhood. She returned to Washington, Illinois, to find pieces of her life strewn about where her house once stood. A lot of people have a pile of rubble still, she said. And I don't have anything. It's gone. I don't know where it went. Nearby, rescuers with flashlights trudged through the neighborhood in the dark of night, searching for signs of life in the wreckage. As a severe weather system slammed the Midwest on Sunday, spawning dozens of tornadoes, flash floods, and hail. This town of 10,000 people was among the hardest hit. A neighborhood was flattened. At least one person died, and dozens in the area were injured. Across the state, officials said 6 people were killed in storms. In 2 communities, storms destroyed at least 70 homes, according to Jonathan Mountain, director of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. Rescuers were trying to reach people trapped in their basements, he said. One hospital in Peoria was treating 37 patients with injuries. The outbreak also forced fans to evacuate the stands for nearly 2 hours during an NFL game in Chicago. It was complete destruction, said Anthony Cowrie, who lives in Washington. There are people in the street crying. As a tornado neared his home, Cowrie prayed and recorded a video of the dark twister churning toward him. The tornado happened in my backyard, and you can hear people screaming, he told CNN. I report. We were freaking out. While his house survived the storm, Cowrie said others in the neighborhood were not as lucky. Video from CNN affiliate WNBD showed one Washington neighborhood where a tornado smashed cars and houses, littering the ground with broken wood beams and flinging furniture and debris onto lawns, sidewalks, and streets. I grabbed my daughter and ran, one storm survivor told WNBD. In nearby Peoria, Mayor Jim Ardis said his city was planning to send aid to help storm recovery in Washington, where a tornado hit what he described as a very densely populated area. It's just absolutely unbelievable, he said. Jack Lance, who lives in Pecan, said he saw a lot of wreckage in his town. We saw trees down, houses with their roofs completely torn off. I saw a lot of people in distress with their homes destroyed, he said. It wasn't a pretty sight. Officials delayed the NFL game between the Chicago Bears and Baltimore Ravens for nearly 2 hours as storms approached Chicago, warning spectators to leave the stands at Soldier Field and head for covered area. The rain started coming. The skies got black. The wind was insane. And they evacuated us to underneath the concrete concourse, said Gene Arnold, who was at the game with his 11-year-old daughter. We've been through 15 degrees below weather and winds, but never anything like that, Arnold said. The winds gusted at 70 meters per hour, and the winds and the rain were horizontal, and everybody was running. It's just crazy. Fans returned to their seats, and the game resumed mid-after the storm passed. But for other cities in the region, severe weather was on the way. Throughout the region, at least 67 tornadoes had been reported as of 10:15 p.m. Sunday, the National Weather Service said. These storms, having been moving so fast today, it's been hard to keep up, said storm chaser Tony LaBadge, who spoke to CNN as he watched a tornado touch down outside Lebanon, Indiana, in Illinois. 2 deaths were reported in Nashville, one in Washington, one near Brookport, and one near Unionville, according to officials. Lincoln said there were at least 11 confirmed tornado touchdowns, and officials there expect the number of storm-related injuries to grow. In Oak Lawn, a wind gust of 86 meters per hour was recorded as a severe thunderstorm rolled through the area. In Washington County, Illinois, an EF4 tornado, packing a peak wind of 166 meters per hour hit, leaving a path of destruction that stretched more than 3 miles, according to a preliminary survey by the National Weather Service. At least 6 trucks overturned on highways about 80 miles west of Chicago due to high winds, the Ogle County Sheriff's Office said. In a Twitter post, Indiana State Police shared a photo of trees, metal, piles of debris, and the shell of a school building. More than 160,000 people are without power across the state, said John Erickson, a spokesman for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. Storms damaged a mall and a bank, and collapsed the roof of a fire station in Kokomo, Indiana, said Larry Smith, Emergency Management Director in Howard County. Some houses had their roofs torn off when a tornado hit the area, he said. Officials in Kokomo declared a state of emergency and closed school for Monday, according to the city's Twitter account. Indiana Governor Mike Pence is scheduled to tour the storm damaged there on Monday, his office said. Teams from the National Weather Service are set to survey damage throughout the region. Incredible footage of a tornado in Washington, Illinois. In Missouri, state emergency officials said a tornado may have hit Scott County, where heavy winds overturned 3 rail cars, blew over 4 mobile homes, and damaged 5 fixed homes on foundations. In Michigan, high winds knocked out power to at least 390,000 customers, utility companies said, and in Ohio, more than 75,000 residents were without power after the storm hit, emergency officials said. This is particularly dangerous situation, the National Weather Service said in a bulletin released Sunday morning. CNN meteorologist Karen McGinnis said the weather outbreak came later in the year than some might expect. The primary time for tornadoes, as we well know, is springtime. Then we see a second high that comes in the fall, she said. Is this late? It is rather late, because the temperatures have been very warm. A very vigorous low-pressure system is moving across the Great Lakes, she said. On the backside of that, temperatures are dramatically cooler, so that cold air is filtering in behind it, warm air out ahead of it, she said, and we get some twisting motion in the atmosphere, and that's why we see this tornadic activity.